Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sadhana, and today I am going to walk through the Muse Tarot by Donnelly and the Textured Tarot by McLoughlin. I've been wanting to do this side by side for quite some time. I find these decks very similar in energy, and so this is really just a personal exploration, and I hope you enjoy it. So go grab a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and let's walk through the cards. The thing about the Fool I find fascinating in both decks is that the creators chose to do more of a Marseille style Fool moving to the future as opposed to an RWS Fool, which generally moves to the past. And I don't know, I just find that intriguing because both of these decks are based on RWS. And the shadow. Love that both creators included a shadow. And in the Textured Tarot, the shadow is very rigid. And so it appears as if the Fool is moving away from that rigidity. So yeah, pretty sweet. I don't want to spend too long on each of the cards, but I'm really intrigued by the color, the similarity of the collage art. And some of the cards themselves are really quite similar. I love the Magician and the Muse, how the energy is flowing out of her head, out of her crown. And she's in a yogic posture, standing on the balls of her feet. It's what it looks like to me. It's a posture called Tadasana or palm tree pose. This also looks a bit like a mushroom. So I find lots of really interesting things in this deck. And I want to ask you this. Have you ever had a reading with the Textured where you've had the Ace of Pentacles show up in a reading and then kind of worked with this card and that card? I just staring at that card in the pocket right now. Love the High Priestess in the Muse. The runes floating behind her and the color of the veil and the lace and the texture. It's so beautiful. The ring on her finger. And just love how this moon is piercing her palm chakra. So well done. And I've always loved the black and white nature of this card. So I think both creators did a really beautiful job with the High Priestess. Empress. Neither of these really do it for me, but they're lovely. And interesting that Chris-Anne included the planets there, and she's hooded, right? So she's deep in reflection. Quite a different energy with these two Empress cards, just eyes open and the stillness. We also have the stillness, but an internal gaze. The Emperor, both looking to the past, which is traditional position. And here we have a much more fluid Emperor on the left with all their people in the background. Looks very musical. Like I feel the energy. And that's one of the nice things about the Muse Tarot is that Chris-Anne has put a lot of work into the website. And so you do get music and poetry and lots of support for this deck. And I think it works really nicely with her Sacred Creators Oracle. And I love the mountain here. This reminds me of a card in the Way Home Tarot, the court card, you know, with the mountain in one of the pentacles. And here is the Hierophant, both looking right. You know what I mean? Like the flow of these decks is very similar. And I love those little lights that are down below in the landscape of the card on the left. And this building or this structure so this is the shadow that we see in the Fool card. It also looks like bones, actually, to me. It looks like some crazy structure all here around. And then we have this beautiful building up above. I don't know, again, a card with a lot going on. And then Chris-Anne shows all these gorgeous mandalas in the background. Love the lotus. symbology here. The wings are floating above. And then if you look in the background of the textured, I always thought these two figures, I mean, I'm sure they were intended to look like they are one, which is beautiful for the energy of this card. You know, it's hard to tell where one begins and the other ends, but also that she included the hexagram in the background, I think is awesome. Makes it really easy to work with. I think they're both great cards. The Chariot. And here we have the light coming from the Manipura chakra, from the solar plexus in the card on the left. Really both excellent cards. I feel the energy and the power, and there's great movement. I love it when the Chariot card has movement in it. There's a real softness in the Strength card on the left. Actually, both of them. They're very gentle, beautiful. Which do you have? If you have both decks, let me know which one in the comments below, which one you prefer, which one you're working with more, if you're working with them differently. Yeah, on so many levels, they're very, very similar. I can work easily with both of these Hermit cards. Very, very stunning. And so this is the first card where we see the Hermit facing in a different direction. Hermit looking to the future, Hermit looking to the past. Love both these cards. Okay, and then the Wheel. No humans in the textured. There's so much to work with on this wheel. We have the sabbats around the outside of the wheel and the potential to connect these two adjacent cards. And I like she's included all four of the suits up here. I feel like there's a lot of hidden treasures in both of these decks. And here we have the lunar cycle. They all look very content. And I find with the wheel, it's not always a positive card. And I don't know if that works for you. Love this, the sacred geometry in the background. There's lots of sacred geometry, I think, actually, in both of these decks. Justice. The card on the left reminds me of a transformation card. Really brings into play karmic balance, karmic justice. The Hanged Muse and the Hanged Man. Love the doorway here. These are both great death cards. Really well done. I've used my texture tarot a lot, and you can see a lot of the cards are damaged. I don't riffle shuffle it, of course, because of the nature of the cardboard, but nonetheless, it's quite damaged. And sorry if that shows up in the camera. Temperance. This is one of the things that I have been studying and contemplating, going through all of the Marseille resources that I've been reading lately. And in my understanding, through the practice of yoga, the right side of the body is the active side, the left side is the reflective side. And so you'll see in the texture tarot, we have the left side is blue and the right side is red, which is in perfect alignment with what I've been studying. However, in a lot of tarot decks, it is done the opposite way. So it's in the way that it is mirror work. So you're not seeing it from the perspective of the person in the card, you're seeing it from the perspective of the mirror. So the actual left side of the card is blue and the right side of the card is red. And so I think it's really important, if you're working with that kind of energy, that you have a look at all of the cards that, what I want to say, you have a look at all of the cards that have that kind of symbology to make sure that the deck is in alignment in that way. And then it's going to make it easier to read. Those snakes in the dress are really, really great. Again, more moon energy in the card on the left. And then we also have the sun. So we've got the balance showing there and the devil. Took me a while to really embrace this card here, mostly because I was using it in the reading room at the store, which is quite dark, and you can't see all of the symbols in the dark because of everything is so black. But you do have all of the symbols here hidden in the darkness, even the inverted pentagram up here. There's so much in the background of this picture as well too here. So I appreciate the level of detail both of these creators have put into this card, the Tower. Yeah. I know a lot of you've heard me on multiple decks talking about that card, and I'm really trying to process how I feel about that card, and I've learned so much this year about the Tower card and the way the energy is moving and so forth, but I might do a separate video on that one. These are gorgeous, gorgeous star cards. You really get that sense of purification and cleansing in both. And I think that's an important aspect. This is not just a card of hope. There's a link and a connection in many levels and layers of the tarot with this card. And if we're linking it with an RWS system and its sister card, Strength, I think it's really interesting to compare to Strength, as well to compare it with Temperance. I always like to kind of do these little side-by-sides and see how the creator has chosen to reflect the journey through the majors, from card to card. So the cards tell a story. They're not all detached. Strawberry Moon. If you're watching this soon after I uploaded, we're having a Strawberry Moon this weekend. On Friday, actually. And we have the Pink Rose in the card on the right. So again, lots of really interesting connections between these two cards. Sun. And quite captivated by the card on the left. And I just feel the energy of a time-lapse photograph there. And the, being in awe of the of nature and the sacred geometry within the natural world. The card on the right is another one that took me a long time to really see the layers and see the hidden pictures and all that was contained there, again, because I do a lot of reading in a dim room. But these are both amazing cards, and I love that both of them are looking to the right. That really helps me to work with them. And then we have the World. So yeah, do let me know how you're doing with the Muse Tarot if you have it, and if you've been working with textured for a while. I know that it was out of stock for a while, but it is now available again. The suit of wands in the Muse Tarot is called the suit of inspiration. And interesting that the ace of inspiration is looking to the left. I find that kind of fascinating. Perhaps drawing the inspiration from the past. And then we have that energy coming out of the third eye chakra. And have you looked carefully at the Ace of Wands to see what is wrapped around? I really, really love the Ace of Wands in the Slow Tarot. And after I got the Slow Tarot and I was looking at this one, I thought, I wonder if I can dissect everything that is on this wand, because sometimes that's a fun thing to do. And we'll go a little bit more quickly through these. Sorry. 2. I love that the vision is not quite there in the card on the left. And actually I see that in the card on the right as well too, right? It's like you have a little peek through the lens. There's actually more cards than I expected that have similar energy. And then 3 of inspiration. And what are the dominoes are really clever here. You know, what is the effect of your action? And if you move a certain domino as opposed to another domino, right, we're going to have there'll be a different response. There'll be a different action moving forth. And in the deck on the left, we don't get the fabric art that we do in the deck on the right. I love the fabric art. As with the Enchanted Tarot too. 4 of Inspiration. These are both great cards, and I love the way that the creators decided to do that. Kind of a different party going on in these 2 decks. But we do get that sense of connection and energy through connection. And do you pick anything up from the medicine of the squash, the kabocha, or the pumpkins? 5 of Wands. It's interesting, you know, they're all ignoring those windows of opportunity there. Choosing to look towards the challenge instead. The fire, the challenge of the suit of fire. The inspiration is right there. We just need to look in the right direction or be guided in the right direction. 6 of Wands. I don't know what I think about the one on the left. It's when we put someone on a pedestal, you know, they're going to fall down eventually. 7. Quite different energy, right? You see the anger in the defensiveness on the right, and then just the sheer strength of standing your ground on the left. So quite different. 8. I don't know how fast you can move in high-heeled shoes. We do have this interesting orange orb here. So what do you take that orange orb to be? Is it Mars? Is it the sun? Is it, right? How does it fuel, or how does it affect the reading? That orange energy there. I love all the orange. 9 of Wands. And you'll notice here that we have the image for the Muse. So the image for the king is in the background here. The kings in the Muse Tarot are called the Muse of the suit. And I'll show you in a minute. I'll pull this card aside and we'll look at the 2 cards side by side. So here we have the fulfillment, the culmination, and on the right, we have more of an RWS interpretation of the 9 of Wands. I do like the title of the suit in the Muse Tarot. And I think it helps me to remember that, especially in this card, the inspiration can come from the journey itself. And the journey is long, and the journey is winding, and the journey can be challenging, but it doesn't make those challenging bits any less worthwhile. And of course, we have choices along the way, right? The card on the right, she has the choice to stand up and release that and to let it go. But she's choosing, for some reason, to carry on. And here we have the page. Knight. I've always been a little confused by the sneakers in the texture, but there we go. I really do like these cards in different ways, very different ways. I think it's clever the way that the paintbrushes are used here for the throne. But there's something really special about this card. I really like the crystal pyramids, the energy, her internal focus, the energy reflecting from or circling in the third eye chakra. Black cat, jaguar, yeah. I don't know, really well done. Love those cards. And then the final card of the suit of inspiration. We have the King of Wands here. And then the Muse of Inspiration. If you're not familiar, the kings are called the Muse of the suit. So this is the Muse of Inspiration. And they all have these mirror images on the card, which is a really unique feature of this deck. I'm really loving doing this in full light here. I'm seeing all kinds of things I haven't seen before in the backgrounds. And that's one of the nice things about a collage deck, you know, you get, there's always something that appears. Two of Cups, Two of Emotions. This was a suit actually that inspired this side by side. I just felt I really needed to carefully look at these. And when I look at the playback on my laptop, I always see more than I do when I'm actually narrating this video. I love in the Muse here how the water is spilling out of the moon. Four. The way these faces are here, this reminds me of another card in this deck. I'll have to go back and see if I can find what it is. Five. I can just stare and stare at these cards. These are cards I really love to do readings with for myself as well, because I just like finding those little nuggets. But I haven't used this one actually for a client reading yet, but I've used this one a lot. And I find those little nuggets appear and connect cards so well. A lot of people really, really like the texture tarot. And the reason I got the Muse tarot was because I like the texture tarot so much. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I also wanted another one of Chris Ann's decks to pair with the Sacred Creators. And I thought they would be a beautiful, beautiful pairing. This girl reminds me of somebody I know. She looks like a ballerina. House of Cards. And what do you see? I see something here. There's a hand. There's a body here. Eight. So we have an eclipse, which is really brilliant. I know we have an eclipse in a lot of Eight of Cups cards, but it's just really well done in the Eight of Emotions. And it looks very much like the Fool card, doesn't it? So when this, imagine, like I said, I haven't done, if you had both of these cards come up in a reading, what an excellent story you could weave. Nine of Emotions. Ten. I've always loved the Ten of Cups and the textured tarot. And then the Court cards. So I just wanted to have a look at this a little more carefully, because this was one of the pairs that I wanted to reflect on. So Nine of Emotions and Page of Cups. Interesting. Very 50s dress. and Knight. Knight of Cups, Knight of Emotions. Queen. Again, a lot going on here. Look up here. So we've got the whatever's happening below the water, but then we also have this beautiful image up here on the top of the card. This woman walking on the water on the beach, or walking out of the water, emerging from the water. It's a pretty powerful, powerful image. And then here's the king. Love, love this guy. I will turn this for you so you can see it. And then we have the suit of air. Quite like this card, actually. I like the prayer flags here. What I might do is at the end is pull out the four aces and have a look at them. I haven't actually looked at them side by side. 2. Both very well done. 3 of Voices. And you really get that Voices energy also in the textured tarot here with the girl on the right with the open mouth. I think this might be, I said that's my favorite card, but this might be my favorite card in the textured tarot. Five. Some critters banging at my window. 6. This is a really interesting card, and it's going to be really interesting for me how it works in a reading, but this reminds me of a shrine in Japan, shrines in general, or perhaps at a temple where you move towards a temple and you go over bridges and things like that. And here we have this door with the light on the other side of the door. So the truth is on the other side of the bridge. The truth is on the other side of the door. And it's funny that the Japanese association came up here, because I see foxes much in the way that the Japanese people do, like in the Kitsune Foxfire Oracle, you know, that sense of magic as opposed to the sense of trickery. Anyway, there's a lot going on in that card. It's going to take some time to unpack. And then 8 of Swords, 8 of Air. This could definitely be a 9 of Swords. Looks like the shutters, right, on an RWS 9 of Swords. And have you ever stared at this, what is underneath here, like this blanket, or, I don't know, I've never been able to quite piece this bit here together. I know it's fabric art, but 9 of Swords, 9 of Voices. It's kind of cool how her garment is connected to the background, to the sky. It's like she's all consumed by the energy of the cosmos. And then we have this very peaceful, sleeping little person down here. 10. I very much see this as a writing desk, right? So the 10 of Swords connecting to the whole idea, well, of the voice, of the communication. The authentic voice. Oh, this just another actress I see here. Page of Voices. I never thought about that as the Page of Voices being one of role playing, but perhaps trying on different voices. Interesting. I love it when decks give me an opportunity to look at certain cards in a new light, in a new way. Knight. Got those prayer flags again. We should count how many of the cards have the prayer flags. It's a really it's a nice touch, I think, for the suit of air. Queen of Voices, Queen of Swords. This is beautiful, stunning. And then the King of Swords. So many details to look at in this Muse card. And it'd be really fun to pull out all the cards that have these bridges and pathways and to look at them together as well too. And then the Pentacles. A truly stunning Ace of Materials. Wow. 2. I think it's also the use of the flowers that inspired me to do this side by side. Both decks have and use a lot of them. 4 of Pentacles. Five. And here's another kind of pathway, gateway card. 6. 7. I always liked this card. 8 of Materials and 8 of Pentacles. I've had some really interesting readings with this card, and the connection of trees and the fact that this tree is growing out of this huge mansion. It's really taken on, you wouldn't expect, because it seems like quite a neutral colored card, not a lot going on, but there is, and I've pulled some amazing things out of this 10 of Pentacles. This is really beautiful. I like the circle of all the different people around the tree. And then the final quartz page. And then there you have it, the King of Pentacles and the Muse of Materials. Just a few final thoughts on the Muse. Here's the 4 aces, which I mentioned. And right away when I pulled these out, what came to mind was that 3 of them are in this circular shape, and one of them is not. And I believe it was in Jodorowsky's Tarot de Marseille book that he talks about this pattern of, I mean, there are lots of patterns within the tarot, but the one of 3 the same and 1 different. So I pulled a few other cards And it wouldn't surprise me if this was actually part of Chris Ann's building of this tarot, is to stay with these traditional subtle nuances within the tarot. So here you'll see in the fives, we have three. Three of the fives have people on them, and no, that doesn't fit because there's a human right here. Anyway, it was just a thought, and I know that I'm going to have fun working with this deck. If not in a detailed review, I'll do some readings with it in an upcoming combo video, likely with her Sacred Creators Oracle deck. So thanks very much for watching. Let me know how you're getting on with this deck and what you think of the side-by-side with the Textured and the Muse Tarot. Stay well. Namaste.